This is Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review with your college football Week 5 betting preview. We'll run through the marquee games taking place on the Saturday college football card, and we're going to begin by looking at Kansas State and West Virginia. A Big 12 matchup between these two teams. Kansas State Wildcats coming into this game with a 2-1 record, although their one loss came to the one good team they've played, Stanford 26-13. Their other two wins against Missouri State and Florida Atlantic. So there's still a big-time jury is out scenario here with the Kansas State team on how good they are. That being said, I keep seeing this team getting better week in and week out, and I actually was impressed with the way they played to begin the season against Stanford in that 26-13 loss. They still outgained Stanford by 63 yards. We're right in that game. Jesse Ertz improving at the quarterback spot. The defense, I think, played solid against Stanford. And West Virginia, on the flip side, they've had 3 games so far. They're 3-0 straight up. They beat Missouri at home 26-11, beat Youngstown State 38-21, but barely escape with a victory over BYU last week, 35-32. It's been a little bit sloppy at times for this team, particularly on both sides of the football. They've had some turnovers. They've had some spotty play at times defensively. And when you look at this matchup, Kansas State and West Virginia, Bill Snyder's really gotten the better of Dana Holgorsen. In 4 meetings between these teams since West Virginia became a member of the Big 12. Kansas State 4-0 straight up, 4-0 against the spread. West Virginia hasn't even sniffed a victory in this series, let alone a point spread cover. And I think that continues here. I agree with the money move here with Kansas State down from plus 3.5 down to 3, even some 2.5 showing up here. I think Kansas State, not only a good chance to cover, I think they got a chance to win this game outright in Morgantown on Saturday. Next game, Miami, Florida, Georgia Tech. I'm not impressed with what I've seen from Georgia Tech so far. They've had a very tough schedule so far this season. There's no denying that. I don't take anything away from the type of teams they've had to play. Of course, Clemson, they had to go to Ireland to start the season to play Boston College, so not an easy schedule to navigate for this team. But boy, their triple option offense looks like it's really, really been sputtering so far to this point, and it continued in their game against Clemson. We'll see what happens here. Miami, on the other hand, I like the job Mark Richt's done with this team. There's no denying that. Mark Richt's done a very good job with this football team so far early on in the campaign. Even though their win against Appalachian State, you look at it and say, well, is that really proving something? Appalachian State, a very good team this year, 45-10. They outgained them by over 300 yards. Prior to that, they hadn't shown much in terms of who they beat, but I think that win really goes a long way to proving this could be a very good Miami football team this year. They've got a good quarterback in Brad Kaya, which is definitely a good sign for them. And when you look at what I've seen from Georgia Tech, like I say, offensively, it's not been great for them so far, and they'll be looking to get back on track here. The good news is, Miami, not exactly battle-tested to this degree yet. We'll see how they fare, but I have trouble trusting Georgia Tech here. The line 7.5. I was looking to play Miami in this game. I think they're the better team, but I'm not sure I'm comfortable laying a full touchdown with them on the road just yet. Lean with the U here. Lean with the Hurricanes, but not exactly a game I'm going to be rushing to bet. Wisconsin, Michigan on Saturday. Wisconsin, give them credit for the win against Michigan State, but before you read too much into the play of Alex Hornibrook, who took over at the quarterback spot in that game for the Badgers, and saying that, wow, he played really well, did he? Because Michigan State basically handed Wisconsin short fields off turnovers throughout that football game. There weren't many occasions where Wisconsin was asked to basically drive down the field with the football and put up points. Definitely a concern for them going into this game against Michigan. I think it's a tough spot for the Badgers. It's a second straight road game, second straight trip to the state of Michigan. And this Wolverines team, they've looked impressive so far to this point of the season. Jim Harbaugh, give him credit. The way they have played. Now, they haven't played upper echelon talent. They've beaten the likes of Hawaii, Central Florida, Colorado, and of course, last week they pummeled Penn State 49-10, outgained them by over 300 yards. But, it's a team that Colorado win in particular, where Colorado tested Michigan a little bit. That win looks even more impressive after Colorado goes to Oregon last week, beats the Ducks in Eugene with a second-string quarterback. Remember, Sefo Lufau didn't play in that game for the Buffaloes. It was their backup. So I really think Michigan has the chance here to make a statement. Wisconsin, going to be tough to run the football against this Michigan team. And for the Wisconsin defense, which played well last week, and played well against LSU in their first win, stacked the box, stopped Leonard Fournette, dared Brandon Harris to beat them throwing the football, which of course he couldn't do for LSU. If you stack the box to stop Davion Smith and the Michigan ground attack here, Wilton Spate, the Michigan quarterback, has proven he's good enough in the passing game to make plays and beat you. And that's going to be the difference here in this game. I would consider laying the points here with Michigan. I actually laid 10 with Michigan in this game. It's up to 10.5, 11. I still see no reason Michigan, with the tough spot it is for Wisconsin, it's tough to play two good teams like this on the road in back-to-back weeks. I think Michigan's got the chance to pull away, win this game by 2 touchdowns or more. Oklahoma TCU on Saturday. I'll tell you what, this line has been, people can't get enough betting Oklahoma. 1 up to 3.5 now with the Sooners as a road favorite here in Fort Worth against TCU. It ain't my money, that's for sure. Maybe Oklahoma gets the chance to hit the reset button. 2 losses to Houston and Ohio State have really taken Oklahoma. They have taken Oklahoma out of the playoff mix. But, Big 12 season starts now. A chance to reset. You can still win a Big 12 title. Still playing a New Year's 6 bowl game. Those goals are still ahead and possible for Oklahoma. But I just don't trust them. Even with the bye week, I'm not sure I trust them here. I really don't. I mean, Baker Mayfield, the quarterback, has said all the right things leading up to this game, saying, I've got to be better. The offense has to be better. I think they got to run the football more. Samaje Perine and Joe Mixon at times have gotten forgotten about. They become a little bit too reliant on Baker Mayfield's arm in the passing game. I think they got to get back to getting those running backs involved. And the defense, we'll see if the bye week does anything to improve that group, because they've been awful, particularly in their 2 toughest games this season. Not going to be easy here. I mean, against Kenny Hill, the Texas A&M transfer quarterback here for TCU, who has been playing pretty well. It took TCU a while to get that offense going last week against SMU, but once they got going, SMU couldn't stop them. They've still got enough weapons. I would be careful now laying these points with Oklahoma, especially more than a field goal at 3.5. Only way I could look here is to TCU plus the 3.5 points as a home underdog. I sure as hell am not ready to trust my money with Bob Stoops and the Oklahoma Sooners on the road, even coming off a bye week. Our next game, Oregon, Washington State, Pac-12 matchup. And I'll tell you what, I'm surprised Oregon continues to take a little bit of money here. Oregon, a -1 road favorite. That's where it opened. It's been moved up now to 2.5. If I can get +3, certainly with Washington State, I'll be on the Cougars in this game. Not impressed with Oregon. I mean, Oregon's defense, not good last week at home against Colorado with a backup quarterback, moving the football up and down the field against Oregon. They're a little bit banged up defensively. They got a key receiver out for this game. Royce Freeman, the running back, may not play as well for this Oregon team. So I've got some concerns with them in this game. And Luke Falk and that Washington State air raid passing attack, good enough to hang points on pretty much any team. We've seen it already this season. They gave Boise State a hell of a game on the blue turf a few weeks ago. Could have won that game, should have won that game, but fell just short. I think at home here at Pullman, this team finally is going to get another win against Oregon. Don't forget, Washington State beat Oregon in Eugene last year. You could say, okay, Oregon, the revenge factor, but something's not quite right with Oregon. Dakota Prukop, the quarterback's been a little bit erratic as of late. The defense has really struggled. They struggled in the second half against Nebraska, struggled against Colorado last week. I think they're going to have a tough time here against Washington State. I'll lean to the Cougars here, and if I can get +3 by kickoff, I will absolutely have a play on Washington State. Also, over the total makes some sense in this game. I think we're going to see points 75, 75.5. Not a low total by any stretch, but could definitely see some points being scored in this game. And we're going to wrap up our marquee Saturday game breakdown with, of course, the game everybody's talking about this week, Louisville taking on Clemson. This is a conundrum for me. I will be honest. I don't have a strong betting opinion on this football game. At +2, I can only bet the Clemson side. I think it's unbelievable, the shift in the line value. Let's not forget, Clemson was favored by more than a touchdown against Louisville in this game on the Game of the Year Golden Nugget lines before the season started. But Louisville's 4-0. They've ripped apart the opposition. They just tore apart Florida State. Lamar Jackson, the favorite now to win the Heisman Trophy. All of that as why Louisville now all of a sudden with the hype train just taken off from the station on this team. That's why they're a road favorite here. The line value is all toward the Clemson side. At the current number, I can only bet Clemson. But Louisville's not only 4-0 straight up, they're 4-0 against the spread. They've shattered the point spread in pretty much every single game. They've taken money every single week, and the betting markets have been slow to realize how good they are. So it's one of those situations where they're cashing tickets week after week. I don't want to step in front of a team that has been so undervalued in the betting markets until they prove they can't cover a number, and so far they haven't proven that. So while I think the line value in this game is Clemson as the home underdog, I'm just not overly compelled to bet it because I just feel Louisville, the markets really were undervaluing this team from day one, and it's been proven so far in their results. But just not a game that, even though Clemson's got the line value, Louisville hasn't been proven that the betting markets realize from the beginning how good this team was. So I'm reluctant to step in front of them. Not a game I'm going to get involved with from a side perspective. Kind of tempting to look actually under the total in this game, 67.5, 68, just because it's a high number. It's a huge showdown game, and I think both defenses, Clemson and Louisville's defense, better than they get credit for, or better than the attention it gets paid. I mean, everybody talks to Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, the two quarterbacks in this game, the offenses, but two pretty good defenses too, and I just don't know if this total deserves to be quite that high. So maybe a small lean under. Great game to watch. Unfortunately, from a betting perspective, I'm probably staying out of it. All right, let's wrap it up with a play of the week here in college football. We've been doing a great job with the plays of the week so far here in the college football season. Just done a phenomenal job. Had a nice play of the week winner with ease last week. Central Florida, -6.5. They rout Florida International big time in that game and send Ron Turner packing. He was fired as the Florida International head coach after that game. We'll see if we can bring home an just as easy of a play of the week winner this week. We're going to look at, I was going to use Boise State -21 as my play of the week, but those 21s are getting picked off right now. It's up to 21.5 in a lot of spots. Still would play Boise State. Utah State, it's a revenge game for Boise. Utah State, tons of injuries. I think that team is down from where they've been in years past. Didn't play good at all, especially offensively last week against Air Force. Very lethargic. Boise State's offense can just rip up the points and the yards in bunches, and I think they have a chance to win this one big. And the revenge factor for Boise's ugly loss to Utah State last year should have them motivated. So I was going to use that as the play of the week. Boise State laying the 3 touchdowns, but the numbers creeping up. We'll go with something else instead. Let's go with South Florida, Cincinnati. The total in this game has actually creeped up, 63.5, but I still think it's low enough that we can play this game up and over the total. South Florida and Cincinnati on Saturday. When you look at the way South Florida's offense is with Quentin Flowers, Marlon Mack, they've been a great combination. They had a field day last year against the Bearcats, putting up 65 points on 573 total yards, a game that went way over the total. I think Cincinnati's defense is going to be in tough here, but the South Florida defense, it came unglued against Florida State last week. 55 points on 647 total yards allowed. Cincinnati should have Hayden Moore back at quarterback this week for the Bearcats, and obviously he's a very, very solid quarterback. This game flew over the total with room to spare last year, and I think it's going to fly over the total once again. South Florida, Cincinnati will go over the total in this game. South Florida, Cincinnati over 63. That's rotation number 132. That's your Week 5 college football play of the week. All right, that will wrap it up. That's your look at Week 5 in college football action.
Always on the go? Bet365 has one of the top mobile platforms in today's market. Sign up today and don't let your busy life keep you out of the game.